Let's continue to get reactions, and I'm going to hand you over to Kirshni now, who's going to speak to somebody from Bloemfontein and somebody who knows the Free State very, very well. In fact, when we think of the Free State and the link between Winnie Madikizela-Mandela and the Free State, Brandfort was the area that she was actually almost sent to when she just would not let go of that fight, and the apartheid government sent her there. Let's find out a little bit more about that, and I believe that you're going to be speaking to the former Premier. There's another position now, Kirshni.
Thank you, Leanne. Yes, we are crossing now to Ace Magashule, the ANC's Ace Magashule, the ANC's Secretary General, that's in Bloemfontein in the Free State. Good afternoon, Mr. Magashule, and thank you for your time on the SABC's news desk. A nation still very much coming to grips with the passing of Mama Winnie today. I just want to garner your immediate thoughts and reaction right now.
Well, let me, on behalf of the African National Congress, talk to the people of South Africa and the world over, members of the African National Congress, the Madikizela and Mandela families. The African National Congress and the nation today mourns the passing of an icon of the liberation struggle, a revolutionary and a stalwart of our glorious movement, Mama Winnie Madikizela-Mandela. And the ANC lowers its revolutionary banner in honor of the memory of this great woman who was so loved and revered, and whose name will forever be inscribed in history, have played such a formative role in the history of South Africa. And Mama Winnie, as she was popularly known, would have celebrated the rich age of 82 years in September this year. But it was not meant to be. We mourn the passing of this great patriot and Pan-African, whose resilience and courage inspired freedom fighters, not only in South Africa, but across Africa and diaspora. Comrade Winnie Madikizela-Mandela dedicated her life to the betterment of her people, and she worked for the realization right until the end of her life. She was an inspiration to both young and old, who shared a vision of egalitarian, prosperous, and free South Africa. And generation of activists, not just in South Africa, but around the world today, deeply mourn her as we do. Such was her impact as an activist and revolutionary around the world that until the very end of her life, she was lauded and acknowledged for her contribution to the struggles of all oppressed peoples of the world. And not so long ago, she was conferred with an honorary doctorate of laws by the prestigious and internationally renowned Makerere University. The life of Winnie Mandela epitomized selflessness, humility, and fortitude, characteristic that she embodied throughout her life. Hers was a life where she faced the harshest of tribulations and struggles as punishment for her dedication to the liberation struggle. As her name Nomzamo testifies, she faced and underwent trials that would have broken the spirit of any human being. But hers was an extraordinary spirit that will not be quelled no matter what the hardships. Her early exposure to apartheid in the village of Mbongweni, Bizana in the Transkei, where she was born to Columbus and Noma Tamsanga Mzamdele Madikizela on the 26th of September 1936, inspired in her a lifelong hatred of injustice and racism. It was this early exposure, and later as a young social worker in Johannesburg, that set her on a lifelong path, joining the ranks of celebrated freedom fighters of the African National Congress and the broad liberation movement in the 50s. She counted amongst her friends and inspiration at the time the likes of Lillian Ngoyi, Helen Joseph, Mama Albertina Sisulu, Florence Matomela, Frances Bart, Kate Molale, Ruth Mompati, Hilda Bernstein, and Ruth First. She had a deep and passionate aversion to injustice in all its forms, and it was through her social work at the then Baragwanath Hospital in Soweto that she became moved by the plight and living conditions of the black majority. This motivated her to use her learning and skills to uplift them. Imprisonment, banishment, harassment, house arrest, solitary confinement, and having her husband and father of her children, Isitwalande Nelson Mandela, imprisoned for 27 years, did not break Mama Winnie's fighting spirit. Due to her unwavering leadership, her home became a pilgrimage site for many leaders and members of various communities. We can, without any doubt of contradiction, that her entire life was lived selflessly and in servitude. This led to her kids becoming victims at an early age. And on behalf of the African National Congress, we once more want to say she became a widow and a single parent while her husband lived and was incarcerated at Robben Island. And during this period, Winnie embodied the values that her then husband Nelson Mandela stood and suffered for. Having passed on, the ANC commits to intensify that struggle that became her life. We will ensure that her spirit and resolve stays with us. And that's why we are actually saying this was our mother, our revolutionary, an icon of our world, of our struggle. And we want to say to the Madikizelas and Mandelas, we pass our condolences. We want to say to South Africans, let's mourn and move forward to building a non-racial, non-sexist, democratic and prosperous South Africa. We salute Mama Winnie Mandela. I want to thank South Africans and pass our condolences.
Well, there you have it. That was the ANC Secretary General Ace Magashule really running through the struggle credentials of Mama Winnie and, of course, her enormous personal sacrifice toward the liberation of South Africa. Time to take a short break.